Hi everyone, I'm Ann Smith, President, Mattituck-Laurel Civic Association. I'm here today with Jill Doherty from Southold Town Board, and we are trying to put videos, short videos together for our members on YouTube to keep you informed and help you have the resources you need as we continue to make our way through the COVID-19 pandemic and try to remain connected and have the things we need. So thank you for coming. We're at the Mattituck-Laurel Library in the basement, and grateful that the library is reopened. So thank you for joining us for the video. The Mattituck-Laurel Civic Association is really grateful to you for the work you do at the town. You've done a lot with us through COVID-19 and a lot of the neighbors helping neighbors kind of concept that we'd like you to tell us about. But we also want to make sure that everyone knows you were really, with Dennis Noncaro, you know, an important part of the work we're doing, particularly with the Dean parking lot, and kind of getting the plantings going and making that work out for everyone. So let's just start with an introduction of you, like what got you into public service, and if there's anything different about your work now that you're deputy supervisor.
Well, I was the clerk to the Board of Trustees for almost 12 years, and I left that position after my second child was born, and then I ended up coming back as an elected official. They asked me, do you want to run for trustee? So I said, sure, I know the job, I might as well. Not that I really wanted to get into politics, but I said, you know what, that's my way of getting back into the trustees and working with the environment, because that's, you know, I really cared about that, especially in this town with all the, you know, the waterways and everything around, and it just evolved from there, and then I got asked to move up to the town board, and I'm on my third term, 4-year term as a town board member, and then, you know, being deputy supervisor, all that really means is when the supervisor can't be there to run a meeting, the deputy supervisor steps in.
Okay.
But I take that role on a little bit more serious, and I try to help out the supervisor. The town board and the deputy supervisor job they're part-time, where the supervisor is full-time. So I try to, you know, step in and help Scott Russell out with different things. I see things need to be done, and I say, hey, can I take this from you and do that? And so that's how I've seen the role progress, you know, in the years, and so it's been satisfying.
Great, thank you. Can you give us a little background on the work you did with all of the civics, you and Dennis Noncaro,
Sure.
During the early months of the pandemic, and how that went, and if that's still going on?
Yes. So, right in the beginning, when all this hit, Karen McLaughlin from the Human Resource Center said, "Oh my gosh, you know, I have to change the way I do things because the seniors can't come in anymore." Right. And Dennis and Karen and I were talking about it. We said, you know, there's going to be so many people in town that need this, not just seniors that need, you know, help shopping, and they don't want to go out. So we immediately said, well, how can we do this and make it a little organized so it's not mass confusion all over the place? So that's where the idea was born, to reach out to the civics associations, and some of them had already started planning as well. Mm-hmm. And you guys, as you know, formed the North Fork Civics, which was great in the communication process, and that was it. And we worked, took about 4 days, I think, of all day long, constantly phone calls, arranging and things, and the program has worked out really well. You call into Dennis Noncaro, and you say, tell him what your needs are. I need food shopping, I need, you know, somebody to go to the pharmacy or something like that. And then through the civics, we have the volunteers, and then Dennis would call that particular civic, whether it's the hamlet of Southold or the hamlet of Mattituck, and those volunteers, we would connect them with that person, and they do the food shopping, and it's worked. It really has worked well, and the program is still up and running, and there's still a lot of people asking for that help.
Right.
And we'll do it as long as we have to.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there will still need people looking
absolutely.
Especially as the weather
Yeah,
changes.
and I think it could be a program that stays, because, you know, people that maybe aren't old enough to be at the nutrition center, but maybe they live alone and they've had some rough times and they're
Right.
recovering from something,
Right.
you know, and they need some help. So I see this kind of program staying around.
And I will say, I know, Charlie, who was our president at the
Yes.
time, noted that people actually met new people
Yes.
and have developed really nice friendships. So it was a great idea, and I'm glad that you recognize the value of the group of civics working
Yes.
together, because we are starting to work really closely together on a lot of things.
That's great.
So has anything changed at the senior center? Are they reopening at all? How are people getting meals from them? if they need
So
that?
I have some notes here because I talked to Karen. She actually did her report to us. Karen McLaughlin is tremendous at that senior center, and she's just done a wonderful job. And the past 3 months, they have delivered over 41,000 meals.
Wow.
And so obviously the senior center is closed to the daily coming in for lunch and everything. They hope to have that open this fall.
Good.
Again, they're working on that, and it's going to be a model based on what all the other towns are doing, and Karen's in constant contact with them.
Great.
So we hope to have people that can come out of their house and come for a lunch and kind of be a little bit normal. The Katinka House, which was the daycare,
Mhm.
is not going to open until April 2021.
All right.
Because they're just too vulnerable at this
Right.
time. So she does not want to open that. And we're getting a new van that will be able to do medical transport, and the van, the reason why we're getting this new one, it will be able to space the people
Okay.
out, so they'll be safe. Because
Right.
the van now, everybody sits next to each other.
Right.
So that's, the county has come with a grant for that, so we've gotten several grants to help us out.
Excellent.
So that van will be coming soon, and then
Good.
they'll be able to do medical transport.
Excellent. We will definitely keep
Yeah.
everyone informed about that.
Yes, yeah.
So how, in general, do the local businesses feel things are going with the reopening? You see a lot of good protocols in place.
Yes, yeah. And I think, I think all the businesses are playing by the rules as best they can, and depending on the type of business it is, they're doing well or they're doing poor. So it's very hard to say. The restaurants, they're busy, but they can only be at 50% capacity.
Right.
So even though you might say, oh, good, they're busy, they're still not making enough money to pay their overhead and the liability and the payroll and everything. So it's difficult, and we don't know what the governor's mandates are going to come down with and what's going to happen. So it's just a day-by-day thing. The town is here to help. We've let them open up outdoor areas without permits, and just a very simple, let us know what you're doing, so we make sure you're safe.
Right.
And that's worked well for many restaurants, but
Good.
some it hasn't because they don't have the space.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
And
unfortunate.
then as the weather changes and the light
And
changes,
right,
you have to
yeah.
see how that goes.
Exactly.
And I know the county's holding an update that they're including civics on coming up soon, so we'll get a sense of what their struggles are with funding streams.
Right,
There's a
right.
lot going on.
Okay.
So the next event coming up will be the November election, and we're getting information about early voting. Can you fill us in on how the town is supporting that and where people will go?
Sure. The towns pick the location for the early voting, and last year was at the Nutrition Center in Mattituck, and this year it's in the same place. It starts October 24th and goes through November 2nd. From like 9 in the morning to 3:30. You can go on the Suffolk County Board of Elections website.
Okay.
I believe the town website will probably have it if it doesn't already. And on November 3rd, actual election day, you would go to your regular polling place, but however, check to make sure that that's going to be the same spot due to COVID, because the schools might not have the polling places, or that might change, but I think they're working that out. And you can also vote for absentee vote. Anybody, they relax those rules as
Great,
well.
thank you. And I know you sent me some information, so I'll be sure we get
Yes,
that out
yeah.
to the members.
Okay.
So moving on to the Southold Town Comprehensive Plan, congratulations to you and all of the various groups that have helped with that. We certainly enjoyed being part of the input sessions, both at Town Hall and then the on-the-road sessions that you
Yes.
did that were so informative, and just having every single department represented at that table, I thought was pretty impressive. And then Mary Eisenstein facilitating the question and answer. I think we've all learned a lot at those sessions.
Oh, good.
So I think what people really want to know now is, okay, adopted, what are the next steps, and how will the community be part of the implementation process?
So we don't have an exact, okay, here's our steps. Now that the plan is adopted, each department has to make sure when they do their approvals, like special exceptions, for example, they have to go by the comp plan. So that's going to be, that's what they do from now on, And then the biggest thing with the town board would be the zoning. And there's different ways we can handle that and review the zoning in all of town. The Supervisor Russell has mentioned that he might want to get a group, a committee together to just hone in on the different zoning and start that way. We plan on working with the civic groups the same way we did in doing the comp plan. And certainly if you notice something in your area that you're concerned with or you think you need changes with, get in touch with the town, send us an email or, call us and let us know your concerns, and we'll work together to change it that it works for everybody and works for our future.
Great. Well, we know there's a lot to unpack there, and we will be working with the other civics, and then also, just so you know, the Mattituck-Laurel Civic is forming a study group, so we can better understand the goals for our two hamlets in the context of the whole town.
Excellent.
Because, it is a really good plan, and we understand it's a guide.
Yeah.
And plan to
and it's
support you with that.
Right. It's a living guide, and it's something that's going to go ongoing. So it's not like you're going to see, okay, now there's going to be all these changes all of a sudden. You're not going to see anything much different than you've seen along the way. And it's not the town board plan, it's the town's plan, everybody that lives in the community.
Right.
So we all have to constantly be working with it and working together on it.
Sounds great. So another question that's come up, and we're looking to get some programming on these understandings for our, informing our members. There are various boards. So there's the town board, then there's the trustees, there's the planning board, zoning board of appeals, and then there are all these commissions and
Committees.
How does all that kind of work, and how does that communication work with the town board?
So the town board, if we do a pyramid, the town board's on top.
Right.
And then you have, the trustees are an elected board.
Right.
Where the planning board and zoning board are appointed members, and the town board appoints those members. And then you have the building department. So that's last, because you have to get the approvals from the zoning, trustees, planning before you go to building. And when you put in an application, say you put in an application from the trustees, and say it's a side yard pool near the wetlands. The trustees knows that you have to go to zoning for side yards, so they're going to say you need, so they communicate with zoning, and so all the interdepartments communicate, and they know what has to be done, and they try to help the applicant out, saying, okay, get your zoning approval first, then come back to trustees, and so it's cumbersome and it's confusing to people, but they work well together, they communicate together, and then if any board has an issue with maybe something's not working with the code, then they can come to the town board and say, okay, we have an issue with this part of the code and we suggest we change it this way. And then we bring that to code committee and we start working on it as a group to simplify things.
So those things would come up as the probably most of the planning board, probably all three of those boards, as they're reviewing applications, they start to see.
Right, if they see a pattern that, and they have all over the years have come to us and said, we'd like to change this, we'd like to change that, and it's just, we keep communicating with them, and So,
Right. It's a lot
It's a lot.
To keep up with.
yes.
So my next question is about actually interacting with the town. I know that you recently reopened for some in-person access. How is all that going? Will the drive-up service continue? Like, how will things start to change as we have more in-person, like the library's open now?
Right, right. Right now, if you wanna, you have to make an appointment with that particular department. And you call that department, you make an appointment, all our employees are there full-time from
Mhm.
8 to 4, processing all the applications and doing the normal work that they've been doing. We set up drop boxes, so people, if you wanna drop off an application or pick up an application and you don't have to pay a fee or whatever, you could just put it in the drop box. You call up and say, okay, put that in the drop box, and it's outside the building, and it's labeled building trustees. If you need an appointment, you call up and you make that appointment and you go in and see, and that's working well. The governor allows us to have in-person meetings now, so starting this past week, we're allowed to have people come in, so say there's a town board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And
That was my next question.
yeah, so we figured out with the space we have in the meeting hall and how many seats
Mhm.
we can have, so we know the number of people, and then our personnel you have to make an appointment. You have to call and say, I want to come in person to that meeting.
Okay.
And then you get checked at the door, you asked all the questions, and then you can come to that meeting. And the town board is there. The town board, the whole town board needs to be there in person. It just flows better.
Right.
But Zoom is here to stay.
Okay, good.
We're not gonna, that's just part of the life now. And I think that's a good thing, because it gives people more access to view live what's going on and
Right.
to ask questions and stuff.
Right, and that was gonna be my next question,
Yeah.
because I participated and
Yes,
have found it very easy to participate.
yeah.
And the only downside is you don't know who else is at the meeting.
Right, yeah.
So I was curious to see if that was going to shift. Will you keep the facilitator for the hand raising?
So we're discussing that
Okay.
now. We do need a facilitator.
Mhm.
Zoning board has figured it out, and they have their personnel facilitate their meetings.
Okay,
Planning board, those personnel they kind of facilitate their own meetings. Trustees are just kind of getting on with it, and they're trying to catch up with everything. And we're discussing who's gonna be doing it for the town board, but Zoom is the way of life now.
right. I
Yeah.
think, we're all getting
Yeah.
pretty good at it too. In
Yes.
fact, the Civic held their first Zoom meeting to review
Yeah,
some things, and we're doing our Citizen of the Year. We're honoring
Yes.
Bill Rulon
yes,
on
that's
October
great.
2nd.
Yeah,
And that will be a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And then end of October, we're going to have all things land preservation. So Peconic Land Trust will
oh, nice.
Zoom with us. So
Yeah.
it is here to
It ma-
stay.
It makes it convenient, there's less traffic on the road,
Yeah,
if
and
you
more
don't have to
people- I bet
drive.
more
and
people are participating.
More
which
people
is
are,
great.
because they don't wanna get up and drive and go to town hall, or
It's
they
too
wanna,
risky right now,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
So the last thing to wrap up really is, how do you see, whether it's the comp plan or any other topic, how do you see the civics and our access to other organizations being part of kind of partnering with keeping the vision, kind of becoming a reality that you see?
Sure, I think I see it continuing the way we've been working, not only with getting the comp plan going, but getting this program with feeding people and shopping for people. I think it's just, we've made a wonderful connection, and with the town being the hub and the civics, and that wheel is gonna keep on turning.
Right.
And I think the communication needs to keep coming back and forth. We try to put everything we can on our website, so people can just check and see what's kind of going on. It's kind of hard to figure out sometimes, but if you navigate it, and you can always call town hall and figure out. And so I think we need to just, if the civics have an issue, get organized with it, and talk to the town, and we'll certainly work together. And there might be issues out there that we don't know that's a continuing issue until you tell us. So we're here for everybody in the town. So if we have more communication coming in and back and forth, it works better and we can get things done.
Good, and I would add, the same for the town. If
Yeah.
you see issues that you think civics can
Yes.
help either with communication or help you solve, problems, reach out to us as well. So-
Yeah, I think we have, Dennis and I have talked about that, and he's got the comprehensive list of who all the players are.
We hear from
And
Dennis.
yeah, he's great
He
at
is.
keeping up with everything, and it's certainly, that's the thing, if we're in a certain hamlet and we have an issue, we're gonna say, well, let's reach out to so-and-so and see what their issues are with this.
Yeah, and then
so-
we can always gather people just to kind of pose a question
Yes,
and help
yeah.
come up with ideas. So
Yeah.
thank you, thanks for
Thank
doing
you.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you
great.
to our videographer, appreciate what you're doing too.